Hey guys, thanks for joining me on episode 3 of Beyond the Horizon. I have Mark Evans, DM, the deal maker himself on here. Listen, we got into talking about really understanding why the heck you're doing all of this if you're an entrepreneur. We talked about how we can often light our own fires as business owners, and we need to stop that. Also got into the fact that really, there is a massive belief and need for life insurance, but there's way too many agents out there that are doing it for the wrong reasons. So you've got to find somebody you can trust. And I absolutely loved his quote, "Success leaves clues." And before we get into it, make sure that you subscribe, comment, and like so you stay in the ecosystem and you get more videos just like this. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Horizon podcast. I'm so excited today to be having a great conversation with our friend Mark Evans, DM. If you don't know Mark has a reputation for writing books. He's a 12-time author. He is a deal maker. The man has over 5,000 real estate transactions. Quite honestly, I think he stopped counting a while ago. It's probably many more than that. And he's currently running multiple 8-figure businesses. Mark, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Matt. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, and I'm excited to dive into conversation. Before we go too deep and I start asking you things, for those who don't know Mark Evans, DM, first off, break down the DM. What's that mean? How'd you attach that there? And give us a little bit of backstory on you.
Yeah, so the DM means dream maker to my mother and my family.
Nice.
But it ultimately means deal maker. Funny story, back a long time ago in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a guy in town doing real estate. His name was Mark Evans as well. He's in his 60s. At the title company, they're always like, "Oh, you got to sign the documents. All this guy's on the docket, coming in to sign documents. He's not a good guy, blah, blah, blah." So everyone just started calling me deal maker because I was putting deals together. So instead of saying Mark Evans is coming in, they'd say deal maker's coming in. So they could differentiate if it was a good guy or a bad guy coming in that day. So that's how it kind of really stuck. Everyone calls me deal maker now. They barely call me by my name anymore.
That's awesome. Well, what a cool way to establish a nickname, right? Is based on results. So there's I love that quote, which is "Work in silence, let success make the noise." So there you go. Your success gave you a nickname and it's stuck around. Well, it's pretty timely that we happen to be having this conversation today because you made a post that I want to share. I put it out in my story. Looks like you're going to be having a big Halloween party here soon. So everyone's invited, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, a couple hundred people of everyone.
Yeah. No, but I think it gives good context and it's a good way to start out our conversation. I'm just going to read the post here. The picture is a giant, beautiful looking barn and a white and black Lamborghini. Is that what model Lamborghini we got there? Aventador. And the caption says, "If this pic doesn't scream, I'm an Ohio boy, I don't know what would, LOL. I'm throwing a big Halloween party next week at my barn for my DM friends and family. The team did an amazing job getting things prepped. Super proud of them. Anyways, this morning when I did a quick walk around, I caught a glimpse of the pic you see, and it really hit me. I'm a 1.8 GPA high school graduate who grew up in a trailer park till I was 10 with zero idea how to run a business. This wasn't supposed to happen to me. So if I can make my dreams a reality, you 100% can do the same. In fact, I guarantee it. The only thing I can't guarantee is when. It could happen a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, maybe longer. Only the big guy knows for certain. The only thing I know is if you show up, work hard, have a great product, serve the clients, do what's right, be a good person, and do this every day, you can't not make it. I'm proof. Go out there and make today count."
Yep.
What an awesome post, man. So your upbringing, you talk about being a 1.8 GPA. And I've heard many times that some of the best business owners and the wealthiest people in the world, they all had one thing in common. And it wasn't about being the smartest in the room, but it was about getting in the right rooms and getting the right people around them. So can you speak to that a little bit? Like, what's maybe a core belief from your upbringing that you would say drove you and motivated you to come from that to what you're, have accomplished today? And maybe one thing you had to let go of believing in order to move on.
Yeah, well, I grew up small town an hour east of Columbus, Ohio, right? So in the trailer court, like I said, till I was 10, my parents still live in the house that we moved from the trailer court into. And at the end of the day, man, I saw my mom and dad play bill roulette every day, sitting at the table, got a shut off notice. What are they going to pay? What are they not going to pay? Put them all on the table, pull one. That's the one we pay. Put the rest in the trash. That's all they could do. My parents worked their ass off every single day to take care of us, to put food on the table. Even if it was hard, they made it happen. So I saw my mom and dad struggle every single day, work really, really hard. And yet I sit there and I'd watch this. And for me in school, I was distracted. I wanted to go produce stuff. I wanted to be something. I wanted to do something. I wanted to solve problems, truthfully, financial problems. Because I go home my whole life, I saw financial struggle. So when I was in school, I call it collaboration. In school, they call it cheating, right? I was good at math, not English, and vice versa. So I was always getting in trouble. Like, hey, man, I don't want to be here. I just want to be in study hall. I want to go out and do something. I want to be creative. I want to move. And it got me really focused on. I always wanted to work. I always knew work would solve the problem. If I could make a couple of bucks, take some pressure off my parents, because I saw what they did, man. Like you said at the beginning of this, my mom and dad, they didn't complain. They just woke up, went to work, and did their thing. I actually wrote a book about this called Magician versus Mule. We are all mules. We're designed as massive mules. The school systems design you that way. Sit down, shut up, raise your hand if you have a question. All this, very structured stuff that I absolutely hate. I wanted to become a magician. I wanted to figure out how to be creative, make a lot of money, and do it at scale. Back then in 1996, when I graduated high school, that was make $100,000 a year. I didn't know anybody that ever made $100,000 a year, man, in my entire life, ever. Truth is, I didn't know anybody made $50,000 a year. But I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And 2 days after that, I bought a seamless gutter company with owner financing. I had no money, just got out of high school. But I was like, I have to do my thing. I've never had a job my adult life. So I just went to work, man, and just realized, and I had to let go of why me. I asked myself, why not me, right? I ordained myself, if you will, and said, I can do this. If no one's going to control me. That's why I didn't go get a job, because I was afraid to get stuck in the system, because I saw what it did to my parents and everyone I cared about my entire life, my uncles, my aunts, my grandpa, all these people, So I had to let go of having conventional jobs, protection, security, everything everyone says out loud, but very few people actually really have it.
Mm-hmm. How's that business doing? You still have the gutter business?
Oh, no, we sold that a long time ago, man, because I was doing seamless gutter. Again, I grew up in a construction household, right? Mm-hmm. So blue collar, everyone did blue collar work. So that's all I knew. So when I started doing seamless gutter works in 1996, about 6 months deep, I kept meeting this guy. He kept having me do work for him. Pulls up in a Porsche, smoking a cigar, paying me to do work on his houses. And I'm like, dude, what do you do? Because I want to do that. Because I'm doing the work. He's not. And he's like, I'm a real estate investor. And I was like, I want to be a real estate investor. And back in the day, this is infomercial days, right? Yeah. So I went and saw Russ Whitney on an infomercial, went to the event, paid $2,500, every dime I had and some, to go to his 3-day event and watch him make a call. And it changed my life, dude. Changed my life.
So that guy in the Porsche who was paying you to do work on his houses, you still in contact with him?
I haven't talked to that guy forever, dude. I don't even remember his name, truthfully. As soon as I did that, 6 months deep, I was not doing gutters every day anymore.
Yeah.
I was becoming a real estate guy.
Okay.
Again, it's like one real estate deal, would make more money doing one real estate transaction than I could make in 6 months of hard work, labor.
Right. So exposure to that guy, even though you didn't know him really well, he wasn't your mentor. Just the fact that you got to see what he had accomplished and he gave you a little in, that was all you needed. And then you ran from there.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, people go out. Are you going to go ask a 400-pound guy how to get in shape? Or are you going to go ask that physically fit guy sitting at the beach, 6-pack abs, 45 years old, how to get in shape? Which one do you think has the answer? To me, success leaves clues. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying this guy's successful or not, but he drove a nice car. He always paid on time. He always had nice properties. He was always doing stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I'm so dumb, right? I barely got to high school. I wasn't worried about being judged. I wasn't worried about being made fun of. I wasn't worried about asking a stupid question. I just wanted to know what successful people did. I was never around it, right? Successful as a family guy. My dad's a great successful family guy and all that. But business, everyone around me told me what I couldn't do. I just needed someone to tell me what I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like it's a belief thing for sure.
100%.
So someone out there right now listening to this and they feel stuck, maybe they're a young kid. Do you really believe anybody can do it? That, you know, you're not predestined. They say that the hardest thing for anyone to accomplish is to level up their socioeconomic class. Like statistically, there are less people who accomplish that than anything else. Do you believe it's really just the information they're lacking or the inspiration to go after it?
I don't believe it. I know for a fact. So I know how I grew up. But however, with that said, I look around my entire family and everyone's still in the same ecosystem, right? So I'm like, my sisters, well, if I can do it, you sure can, because we have the same exact parents.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you doing more? But you got to want more. You got to want to work. You got to want to go do the effort. You got to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to go against the grain of the norm. Like there's a lot against you to accomplish the life you want. If you ask my kids, they're 10 and 6. If you want a hard life, do easy things. If you want an easy life, do hard things. You got to do hard things. And the older we get, the harder they're going to become. And you're going to have multiple excuses of why you can't do it. But at the end of the day, 100%, I know for a fact, I know people way worse than I had it that have massive successes financially and personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you think of the horizon and how far out you could see, back then $100,000 was like the pinnacle, right? You're like, if I can do that, then I can do anything. When did that start to shift? Or, you know, when did you make that first $100,000 and you go, holy smokes, I did it?
Yeah, but making it and keeping $100,000 is a drastically different game.
This is true.
I never had that other part of the dream of, you know, hey, I make $100,000, I keep $100,000. I had the dream of make $100,000, and I reverse engineered it. I was like, I'll work 365 days a year. I'll work 20 hours a day. I'm 18. I don't need to sleep, right? Like I don't need to party. I'm not hanging out. I'm not drinking. I'm not doing it. I'm working. So I reverse engineered. I'm not going to go to family reunions. I'm not going to go hang out with my buddies. I'm not going to watch sports. I'm not going to do all these things everyone's supposed to do at that age. I was willing to work. So what's that come out to per hour? And that's how I kind of was like reverse engineering. But at the end of the day, you know, you have employees, you have staff, you have products, you have marketing, you have all these other costs. You know, to net $100,000, dude, took me a couple of years, right, in that business, because it's making it and keeping it, as you know, in real business is a different game.
100%, it is. And I think we'll get more into that as we talk about scaling and stuff. Now, you've written 12 books. Mm-hmm. I'm interested. What do you think was your favorite book to write? The one that actually gave you the most fulfillment and maybe even you grew through the process?
Well, I think the next one, that's the true answer.
Okay.
Because I'm always working on a couple at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you know, I'm writing what I'm really doing now that I have children. My first book came out November 21st in 2006. That was like a real estate investor book. I've done multiple real estate investing books, but then I've evolved, right? I've become a business guy and a family guy and everything else, right? Life happens. But the biggest book by far is called Magician versus Mule. Like I said, you know, when I'm writing that book and I'm crying when I'm writing it, I did have ghostwriters help me on some of that, navigate through it. Again, you gotta remember I barely graduated high school, so I need some help with editing. Yeah. But, you know, for me, Magician versus Mule, man, I literally saw my mom get ran through the ringer at her job. You know, they fire one person. They're like, oh, you know, we'll hire someone else to take care of that job. Then they fire another person. Oh, we'll take care of you. Take care of that job. They paid her less and worked her like a mule. And that's what mules do. And she couldn't quit, right? She had a family to take care of. She couldn't go ask for a raise. She'd be afraid to get fired. Like there's all these psychological warfare going on. And I'd always say, Mom, like as a kid, I'm like, Mom, just go quit. Mom, go get a new job. And again, not, you know, she's thinking I got to take care of 3 kids. Yeah. And pay rent and food and blah, blah, blah. So Magician versus Mule was really a big book for me. But the new books that we're writing, to me with my children, it's more of like a journey. I want to create a book a year of where I'm at, where I'm going, what I'm thinking about. I call it thought auditing a lot. Where did our thoughts come from, Matt? What does rich mean? What does hard mean? What does poor mean? What does easy mean? Like all these words mean something different to everybody. And who told you? Grandpa, mentor, parents, cousins. Someone told you what these words mean. And some people believe them. But Magician versus Mule by far.
Okay. Now, talking about Magician versus Mule, you talk about working smarter, not harder, right? But actually, I want to pause. And you said something about when you were a kid, you told your mom just quit, right? But she had all these things going on. Now,
Yep.
fast forward decades, deals later, success, you've helped many other people make it. What advice would you give to someone in the same shoes that your mom was in then, now, but knowing what you know, where you're like, okay, you can't just quit. You have 3 kids at home. You have all this, but you do want more. You do want to like grow and build and get out of being the mule. What steps do they take? What's the next action? They can't just quit, and you know that now.
Well, you can't, right? I oversimplify complexity. That's what real entrepreneurs do. Everything's simple. The work is behind the scenes. You can quit. Most people don't have the balls to quit, man. You got to quit though. But me quitting, again, my thought process is I have to build a plan to quit, right? What am I going to do? What am I good at? What don't I want? Most people don't even know what they want, but they definitely know what they don't want, right? Find a job. There's never been more opportunity ever than right now, right? You can go online and do business from online. I don't even need to be in an office anymore. Back then was different, right? It was way different. So, the job force, the opportunities were definitely different. Now, if you have a skill and you know how to maximize it, you could generate massive amounts of money comparably, depending where you're at. But I do believe I would say quit, but have a plan to quit, right? Make a plan, execute the plan. If that means, moonlighting, or, what do you do at 5 o'clock, 5 to 7, 5 to 9, 9 to 10, 12 o'clock at midnight? Like, what are you doing with these hours? These are important things that steps, and like I'd be auditing my time and saying, what can I learn? What skill set can I learn? By the way, I'm telling my uncle, my dad doing this right now because they just have massive surgeries and they're just hanging out. I don't just hang out.
Right.
What skill can I learn today while I have this amazing time on my hands, right? Because it's a gift. And that's what I would tell everyone is, most people think they don't have enough time, Matt. I think most people have too much time on their hands. And I know that for a fact because I could look at their phone and see what they're scrolling all day.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Actually,
stuff.
I read a quote to my team yesterday from William Penn, and it said, everyone wants more time, or what did it say? It's something to the effect of everybody wants more time, but it's the thing they spend like the worst, essentially. You want more of it, but if you had more of it, you probably wouldn't do the right things with it.
Well, they won't because they have it now, right? And again, it's, again, I keep saying success leaves clues, but like people aren't just hanging out in my world. Like, if you and I are having lunch or dinner, we're not talking about what Steve and John did. We're talking about what we're going to do and where we're going and how we're doing it and what we're growing and, building and blah, blah, blah. Like, people where I come from are gossiping, talking about the same people they've been talking about their whole life, not doing anything about their situation, complaining about their job, and not taking actions to accomplish something better for their life. And it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't want it to ever make sense because I'd be that.
Right.
I think if you make it make sense, it's really tough.
Yeah. So for somebody who's stuck and they feel like there's a fog over them, I keep relating things to a horizon, right? There's a fog. You can only see this far into your life and you're like, I don't see anything better on the other side. Would your suggestion to find that inspiration or that feeling, that light to break through and be like, it could happen for me, just change the circle of people you're around, get access to maybe even just changing your Instagram algorithm and listening to some people who can pour into you well, or like what are some things that you would give suggestions that can help people change their thought process?
Yeah, you're a way deeper thinker than I am. I would say get around other people that have great belief systems and borrow their belief. Borrow it. Right. Sometimes it is foggy. A lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going through the tunnel right now and there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, yes, there is. But that's another train coming at you because you're hanging out with the same people, talking about the same shit, doing the same things. What do you think is going to be better in 12 years, 2 years, 3 days? Like get out of that train track and get on another one and go borrow someone else's belief. Right. It's like, what do other people see in you? Well, if you're hanging out with drug dealers, tire kickers, negative Nellies and whatever, guess they're not propping you up. They're not telling you what you're great at. They're telling you what you can't do. They're not giving you goals. They're not sharing what they've done, right? It's like the broke guy giving best financial advice in the world. That's how I grew up. Broke people telling me how to spend my money. Doesn't make sense to me. They ain't got no money to spend, right? So it's like, how can you give me advice? Yes, you're a great person, but you can't tell me how to be a financial blah, 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 So I think at the end of the day, you got to get around people. Go to a nice steakhouse, sit at the bar. Don't even spend money. That's what I did when I was 18, by the way. I sat at the bar. I couldn't even drink clearly. And I got a spritzer or whatever with a lime on it to make it look like I fit in. and put on my $100 JCPenney suit. I just wanted to hear what successful people talk about.
Right.
These people are spending $200 for a meal. They're doing something in their life. I want to hear it. I want to talk to them. I just want to listen. I want to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
And I'd start listening to them. They're talking about Section 179. I'm like, you can buy a Hummer and save blah, blah. This is like 2000, early 2000s. When those Hummers came out, everyone was going ballistic. And what you talk about is going to grow. Stop talking about your problems. Start talking about solutions. Start talking about winning. Start talking about opportunity. Matt, a lot of people where I come from, if they're talking about problems, people are one-upping your problem. They're like, Matt, you think you had a bad day? Listen to my bad day. It's like, dude, we both have bad days. I call it the king of the dipshit mentality, right? Where 5 people hanging out talking and they're like one-upping you. And it's like, guys, we're all have this. The problem's never going to get solved. We're just making it worse. How do we get out of this? Yeah. So you got to get in the right rooms, man. There's no other way that I know. Get in the right rooms. And you don't even need to do that, by the way, in person. You could Zoom.
Right.
They're listening to your podcast. They got YouTube. It's never been easier. But again, they're distracted.
Right. I think it's never been easier, and there have never been more distractions simultaneously, right? So you got to be able to look past the noise, get focused, but all the answers are there. All the access is there for sure. So being a business owner, you're not a solopreneur on all these businesses. You have employees and people who work for you that you're leading, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how's that kind of dichotomy between those people and yourself? And just want to get into your mind as someone who's a serial entrepreneur, and you're very vocal about get out of the rat race, don't be the mule, things like that, right? I'm on the beach, I'm smoking cigars, I'm doing this. You said something the other day, I'm doing deals right now, and you're like on the beach and kids are playing and doing all this stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
But you got people on your team, that's not the life that they, maybe it is, but there are many people who are employees who they're working 40 hours a week, traditional job, they might get paid well, that stuff. So how does someone know if they should be following your path or trying to, for lack of better terms, kind of be on the coattails of the person who's making your path and working in their companies and helping them build and develop, opposed to trying to be that front runner person?
I mean, number one, let's be honest. If you're asking that question, you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, I genuinely don't think you should be an entrepreneur or true. The problem is everyone's an entrepreneur. Everyone says they are anyways, I should say.
Yeah, well, it's a lot cooler these days than it was.
Yeah, and I just want to also clear something up. I think solopreneur is the most dangerous position we all could be as an entrepreneur, because literally the reason we do what we do is because the people we care about the most, our family. Mm-hmm. As a solopreneur, if you go down as a solopreneur, everything you care about goes out the window, period. Right? They should have life insurance. They should have things prepared for that situation because it's coming for all of us, death, right? Heavens forbid, we hopefully have another 100 plus years each. But at the end of the day, solopreneurship is a very dangerous place to live. And I lived it for a minute. Mm-hmm. And then, as people are coming on board though, unless you're willing to dry heave every night, unless you're willing to wonder how the hell you're going to pay your bills tomorrow, unless you're willing to carry the stress of all your employees, right? Unless you're dude, there's so much we have to deal with as true entrepreneurs. Yes, I am sitting on the beach, but guess what? I'm working. I have things going on. By the way, me sitting at the beach at 2:00, I've already worked since 4 a.m. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is another problem with social media. Everyone sees the micro clip. They don't see what it takes behind the scenes to make it. Right. And that's a huge problem with what's going on in social media world. But again, it's like my team is amazing. I need them just as much as they need me, right? At the end of the day, someone has to take all the arrows, and I'm willing to do that, right? They get paid every week. They don't have to worry about it. They get to do what they want to do. They can take off when they want. I can't do those things, right? There's many businesses I've not made any money on, right? But all my employees got paid. So it's not for everybody. Clearly, it's not for everybody, nor should it be. I think there's a lot of people that makes a lot of money in the number 2, 3, 4, 5,000 spot at Facebook, right? Look at all these employees at other large corporations. I mean, there's a huge opportunity to get wins inside of that, but I don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur for sure. Mm-hmm.
So you just touched on there's businesses that you didn't make it. Or you didn't make any money, right? They got paid. And then these businesses, did they turn around? Did you shut them down, pivot? How do you know when it's time to say, that thing's taking more of my time and it's not profitable, and pull away? Or
that's it. You just said it, time, right? Today, where I'm at in my life, time is my most valuable asset. I know that. I have money. I have money coming in if I work or don't work. I have things happen. But if I'm starting a venture or buying a venture or something's happening, we bought a roofing company about 2 years ago, me and a partner. We bought it. We got lied to. We shut that thing from start to finish within 4 months. It was just not worth our time. Could we go deeper? Could we save it? Well, the answer is yes, but why? At what cost? Right? Time. I'm not willing to give my time to save something that's going to make a couple $1 million a year. It's not worth it to me with everything else I got going on. I could refocus my energy, get back to what I know. It was a great lesson. It wasn't a loss. It was a lesson. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't hire this person to review docs because they clearly messed it up. But at the end of the day, man, I think you have to look at it and say, how much time is being exhausted in this? What's the upside? What's the downside? More importantly, what am I taking my attention and focus away from? Right? Like attention and focus and time is a very, very valuable commodities.
So back to the book, The Magician versus Mule, Working Smarter, Not Harder. I'm going to throw out one word that I think we're going to see eye to eye on here, but the difference between smarter and harder has a lot to do with systems. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think it's a great word. I'm all about working smart and hard, by the way.
I don't think you did
compounding interest. Yeah, everyone likes talking about compounding interest, but compounding effort, compounding time, compounding systems, are way more powerful together. But yes, systems are great. In the beginning, though, let's be honest, Matt, when you have a couple people, we're professional firefighters, and or professional arsonists. Because a lot of times as you start scaling, you do create your own fires to make yourself feel significant inside of the problem, solve the problem. We're Superman or Superwoman, whoever, and go on our day. But yes, systems are very crucial. However, depends where you're at in the journey, man. I think a lot of people are over systematizing life. And, I'm confused because how are people so damn broke today with the best systems in the world? It's not the systems, it's the humans implementing the systems and or not implementing them.
Yeah, that's I'm still thinking about, you said we're professional arsonists. That's an amazing thought. I didn't put it that way, but yes,
right. You talk to entrepreneurs a lot. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm putting out fires today.
Which ones did you start?
Yeah. Okay. Did you start them? Which again, we're really good at doing stuff like that, man.
For sure. But an arsonist is starting fires on purpose. So that's the next deeper thing, is like, are you actually starting things within the business, like you said, on purpose to feel important? And that I think becomes a very dangerous thing if the ego is you have to stay important.
Yeah. As my buddy Bobby always says, your ego is not your amigo. And I can tell you, when your business starts scaling and your business does not need you, you have a tendency to create fires where fires did not exist. And you do it so they have to call you, right? You're hanging out at the beach by yourself or with your family, and you're like anxious, overwhelmed, something's going on, and you're like, I'm going to poke it. I'm going to poke a problem. I'm going to create a problem. They're going to need me. And because that happens. There's a part of your business that gets so big where the truth is I actually mess up some of my companies if I step in them because they've outgrown me. I can't run certain things. Once they get to a certain level, I'm not good in those environments.
So you hire the executives to then run those?
100%. Absolutely.
Okay. So you perked my ears earlier because of the business I'm in. You said life insurance. So I think there's this thing that's going on, and from firsthand experience, that a lot of people out there are inspired by social media and people hitting success and sharing it, right? And so you get a lot of the younger generation, I'm saying younger, like breadwinner age with young kids, where people still depend on them completely, right? Like you got young kids, I have 3 young kids. Without us, and I don't know your spouse's situation, but you're at a place now, you have passive wealth coming in, right? But most people, or many people out there, they're talking about creating generational wealth, but they're not there yet. They're talking about a plan they have and the execution, they're putting in the work, they're working towards getting there. Somebody like me approaches them and says, hey, you've built a good lifestyle for yourself, but you're not at the quote unquote generational wealth. You should be carrying life insurance. And there's an attitude from a lot of people that it's like, I'm young, I'm good, I'm going to get there. like, I don't need to worry about it, or I don't need to spend money on that. I'm spending money on scaling, on development, personal development, all this stuff. I'm curious, what are your thoughts to someone who has that attitude?
Well, I've been the guy that thought he was making a lot of money that saw insurance as a cost, not an investment. First of all, if you get the right insurance agent that understands the full picture and what you're really trying to accomplish, I think most people are absolutely ignorant trying to create legacy wealth before they create their own wealth. It's like, it makes zero sense to me. First of all, why do you even want to give those kids money? Why not give them memories while you're alive, right? And not only that, if you care about them so greatly, why the hell would you leave them if you die, which you're going to, just we don't know when.
Right.
And I don't care how healthy you are today. It's not about you being healthy or unhealthy. It could be a freak accident, car wreck. I mean, it could be totally out of your control. But if you genuinely look at your kids and you're like, I'm doing it for them. Now it becomes an investment. It becomes way more emotional, way more real. I think the truth is, Matt, most people, most, not all insurance agents are just trying to sell you, not trying to consult you. And they're sleazy. They're selling shitty product, trying to get the biggest fees for themselves. And I get it. I'm in business too. I understand that. But listen, if the product is not described or understood by the client, no matter how great the product is, they're always going to say no because they don't understand it. And from and again, it took me years to get insurance because I didn't understand it. I still kind of don't understand it. And I have lots of policies, right?
Yeah.
IULs, whole life, blah, 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 like for different reasons now. Because right, I don't need insurance. I use insurance now as an investment tool as well as a tax play in the future. But again, you have to make money first. And a lot of people, truthfully, Matt, just aren't making money.
Yeah.
If they can't afford 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand a year for an insurance policy that's an investment, not a cost if designed properly.
Yeah.
You ain't making real money anyways. So you got to get to work, truthfully.
Yeah. And those people, I mean, having a term policy is pennies on the dollar just to guarantee that the safety of the family. Like, I'm not talking about high.
Everyone should do that. That's at bare bones, right? What you recommend?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's what I'm talking about is some people look at things like that. And I'm like, how do you offset or say this isn't worth the cost, but you're talking about $100 a month or, you know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of what you're trying to build, you're 40, you need $1 million coverage now or 2 million, 3 million. You're within under 100 to under 300, depending on age, health, and how much insurance you need. And there are people out there saying, no, my eyes are set on becoming 100-millionaire, but that's an expense I don't need today. Yeah, probably.
It will never happen with that mindset, because if you can't invest $300 in your future or your family's future for the reason you're doing all this crazy stuff in, how in the world are you going to get to $100 million? It won't happen. It doesn't work like that. And not only that, dude, I always focus on Matt. I focus on the people, not the, like, I can't help everybody. Some people just don't see it. You know what I mean? It's wild to me. So it's like, until I'll be here when they're ready. Yeah. I can't help them until they're not ready. You don't know until you know. Right. And typically, from my experience on that side, it's someone very close to them dies and they realize it's like, home security systems. No one gets it until they get broken into. Yeah. It's like, well, kind of too late. You already just got broken into, you got everything stolen. Yeah. So, but now they're aware. They know this is going on. And again, I was this person, so I'm talking to me, but I just asked the same individual that's growing this $100 million business, how much do you invest in your bookkeeper? Well, they're probably still doing their own books too, because they think $200 a month for a bookkeeper is a lot. They're a solopreneur. Everything's on them. They don't know how to let go. They're control freaks, even though they have no control. And they're probably scraping by.
Yeah. Okay, you touched on that.
It sucks.
Yeah, no, they are. And you mentioned something that I think transitions us here. Now, look, if you're listening to this right now and you just heard him and you're one of these people who's been procrastinating or whatever, I want to throw out our shameless plug. This podcast is brought to you by PolicyEngineer.com, the place you can get term life insurance in under 5 minutes online. Make sure you don't keep walking around. Listen to what Mark said. You got to change the mindset. So you're talking about someone who's solopreneur, doing it all themselves. So in our business, we've gone through expansion and contraction because of ambitions and mistakes, and kind of we've gone through all of that. And so I'm curious, I know that you talk about delegation being important, right? That you've got to be willing to let go, and you've got to be willing to expand like what you do, or narrow what you do and give away some of the tasks you're used to doing, correct? So absolutely. I'll tell you from my personal experience, and then you can speak to this and maybe give some advice. But I had a really hard time with that for a long time. And I felt like I just needed to do everything because I was going to do it better than the other person. And then it shifted from better to saying, okay, no, actually other people might do it as good or maybe even better, but I don't have the time to train them how to do it the way I want it or need it done. And then I broke through that and I started to delegate. And then I realized the reward. But then I went too far the other end and I started kind of obsessing with delegation and giving things out and then realizing things got too loose. You don't even know who's doing what and who's supposed to bring what when and who to hold accountable, right? So can you speak to that a little bit? Like someone who's gonna scale, gonna delegate, wants to expand, how do you find the balance and not go too fast? And it's hard to rein it in too. It's tough to fire or reduce people's hours or when you overextend it and, you know.
Yeah, listen, I think you don't know you push it too far until you got to go backwards. I mean, everyone can give you some amazing philosophy, but the truth is everything you just said, I've done in every business I've owned. It's part of the growth. It's like you don't know if you should be bigger or smaller when you're in it, right? You just know you need help. You know you're growing. The truth is you get sloppy when you're winning, right? You get very sloppy. You're just handing everything off, thinking everything you touch turns to gold, and that's when you get smoked on the backside. Once again, this is why not everyone's equipped to be an entrepreneur. Because you're crushing, and then you got a long journey out of the problem. From my experience, everyone always says, hire slow, fire fast. I'm the total opposite. I hire fast and I fire slow because I genuinely like people. So, getting them in the ecosystem, I think everyone should have an assistant. I have 2 full-time assistants. They're amazing. They've been with me a long time. They do personal stuff. They're at the barn right now working with me on stuff like they're doing all kinds of stuff. They're coordinating, moving, organizing. We still have problems. We still mess up. We still have $100,000 mistakes. It's part of the journey. But at the end of the day, the old me would fire them immediately, right? And start over, as opposed to sit down and have a professional conversation and say, hey, where did we miss? I failed you as a leader. My bad. How do we get better? And what do you need from me to make you better? And I do understand the whole 100, no one will do it as good as me. And that's okay, because what if they did it better? What if they did it, at a higher level? And even if I could do it better, I can't do 10 jobs better at the same time than 10 people doing it at half-fast 50%. They'll still beat me with long-term, with a plan. So I think it's like we got to divide and conquer. Don't overhire too fast out of the gate, even though you're all going to do it as you grow. It's what we do. But you just got to be aware. And typically, you don't get uncomfortable to fire people until cash is so tight, you have to make a hard decision. So, it's I think just have an open, direct, honest communication with your team, which I do every day, very clear. I need your help. I'm dumb. Here's where we're at. Here's who's on the team. Everyone needs a Tom Brady. Everyone needs a line. Everyone needs the wide receivers. Everyone needs the defense. Like, this is a team sport, man. It's not a one person sport. That's for sure.
Yeah. How do you find people to add to your team? Are you just using Indeed or things like that?
Social media, dude.
Social media.
And I have a very bad track record on hiring people outside of my ecosystem because there's this thing called culture. There's this thing called, they don't know who you are. I've hired outside of the network multiple times, and I'm talking like high level execs, mid 6-figure salaries. They just never work out, man. They just don't work out. They don't know how we vibe. They're not true. You got to realize too, what kind of entrepreneur are you? I move quick. I'm all about breaking things and then fixing the broken stuff. Most people that you hire, they're too afraid to break things because they don't want to get fired. Yeah. Well, in our world, you'll get fired if you don't break things quick enough, right? Because that means you're moving way too slow.
Right.
So that's just me. That's not everybody. You got to figure out what kind of entrepreneur you are, what you suck at, what you enjoy, how you communicate. I don't communicate with my teams much at all. But if I text you, that's a different communication level than if I email you. If I call you, you better answer, right? That means something's bad happening. And or I got something big to celebrate with you. But there's different levels of communication. But again, this is all through trial and error. It's just like a relationship with your spouse, right? What kind of girl do I want? What kind of guy do I want? What kind of, do I want to go on dates? Do I want to be touched? There's so many variables to this game, and everyone's looking for a one size fits all, man. I think it really comes down to what do you want, and stop acting like you know everything. Just surrender is what I recommend.
I love it. That's awesome. Surrender. I love these one word things we can just keep in the back of our mind. So You have 10,000 maybe real estate transactions. You said you lost count, right? But is there one that you can break down that you go, man, that was, well, actually, what kind of real estate are you doing? Are you doing commercial, residential, mix of it all?
What I started with is not what I do now, right? So I started off in owner financing real estate deals because I had no cash, no credit. I was 18 years old, nothing. So I had to be creative. And then, and now we do big commercial stuff.
In the multifamily space or industrial, or are you kind of doing everything?
Both. Not everything, but both of those verticals.
Okay.
So we're in the multifam. But I'm more passive, right? I'm not in the active day-to-day roles of grinding it out with tenants and all that stuff. I'm active on finding deals, financing deals, conversating with deals, et cetera. But I'm not going to the properties. I haven't been to a property I've bought in 20 years. It's been a long time. I don't even know how many years, 15 to 20 for sure. But, I don't go to title companies, like everything. Again, we live in a beautiful world now where everything can be done online. But yeah, I like those verticals a lot.
So,
but that first deal changed my life, man. I wrote a book about it called $1 Deals.
$1 Deals.
Yep. I met this guy in the newspaper. He said, selling house, blah, blah, blah. I called him up. His name's Mick Yinger. I hit him up. He said, hey, meet me here. I met him the next day. We started talking. He's like, I got this house in Westwood in Columbus, Ohio. Here's the deal. I don't want you to pay cash for it because I need to kick the can down the road for 2 years. He was a sophisticated investor, him and his family. And he's like, I just need someone that can take these over. I don't want to do the tenant side. I don't want to do all that. I don't mind giving you some meat on the bone for you to do it. So I tied that deal up. I ended up making $15,000 on that deal in the first 30 days. And I had no clue what I was doing at all. I was literally clueless. But again, I hired a great lawyer. I met a great guy, Mick, and I just kept showing up, kept asking dumb questions. And they wanted to see me win. And I did many deals with him afterwards. And we all made a lot of money long-term. But that's the first one that started it. That's when I realized, like, oh my God, I don't need to know everything to do something.
Right. So if someone's looking to break into real estate using creative financing, like owner financing, any things that you can tell them to watch out for? I know that it's kind of a Wild West to navigate, right? Because you're dealing with people and the deals they structure with you. So any advice in that arena?
Yeah, I mean, the simple advice is this. Remember, you're not doing a real estate deal with a piece of property. You're doing a real estate deal with a human being that has real problems, that has a real situation. Shut up and listen to their problem and solve it. If you solve their problem, it's not, and by the way, if you have no money or money idea thought, it's not always about money, right? It's about, can you solve my problem? They're sitting in California, the property's in Ohio, they inherit it. You think they want to come to Columbus, Ohio on December 15th to fix a broken pipe at their house they got given to them that they didn't even want? No. Hey, contract, here we go, boom, boom. Use a title company, right? Use a lawyer, real estate lawyer. Don't use a fake lawyer, use a real lawyer, and just tie up the deal. But conversate. The more conversations you have with qualified people, the more deals you'll close, right? And stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole too. I see a lot of people get frustrated. Go out and get 200 no's before you think it doesn't work. It works.
Where would somebody find owner finance deals if they're going to go looking for that?
Well, they're everywhere, right? No one says owner financing deals. If I called you, Matt, and said, hey, Matt, tell me what's going on with that property you're looking to sell over in Columbus, Ohio. You're in California, right? You're like, yeah, man, I inherited this house, blah, blah. Like, I'm hearing that. You're not saying, you don't even know what owner financing may be. Right. However, you might be a higher income earner, and you're like, listen, it's $125,000. If you get hit with that, that's going to add to your taxes. You're going to have this, and that. Would you be open to rent to own, owner finance? Use terms people can relate to. Rent to own, right? Owner financing sounds scary. It's like, Matt, I don't know if you have any debt on the property, but if you don't, would you like to be the bank? And I'll pay you interest instead of the greedy banks. And again, it all depends on how the conversations are going with the individuals. But literally every deal is a potential owner financing deal if it's presented correctly and if it solves the problem. But they all don't work. I mean, some people just need the cash for whatever reason. And that doesn't mean you can't bring a private investor in, right? Like, we're just talking about owner financing deals, but you can bring a private investor, someone that has the cash. You have time, I have money. You use your time and energy, use my money, put the two together. You get a piece of the deal, I get a piece of the deal, and we both win. Right? Where are you at in the ecosystem? Do you have more time than money? Do you have more money than time?
Right.
Do you have more time and money? Like, we're all in different places in this game of life. It's not just because we get stuck in our own little world.
Yeah.
Say, oh my gosh, everyone's broke. This won't work for me. But okay, well, if you believe that, that's true. However, there's people out there that don't care about money like you do because they have a lot of it, and or they have a lot of time. I have the time to go beat the streets and try to do a 10K deal. It's not worth my attention anymore. However, that's where I started,
Yeah. So
it was amazing.
Are you doing any capital raise through like public offerings or limited partnerships or any deals like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then
I don't want a boss.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a great thing. I've got lots of buddies that do big syndications and all that stuff. At the end of the day, you have a boss. I own all my stuff.
Right.
Like I'm not looking for bosses. Could I be here? Yes. But why? I think that's another thing, man. I don't know, how much time we got, but like, I think most people need to stop and ask themselves, what the hell am I doing all this for? Like, once you have enough cash flow coming in, once you have enough cash sitting around, once you have enough, all these things going on, am I going to just go bigger to go bigger?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you shouldn't, by the way. I'm not trying to limit your growth, but like, there is seasons of life to this game.
Right.
My kids are young once. Business is around forever. Mm-hmm. Right. And when there's certain growth things happening and you're taking on people's money, there's a fiduciary responsibility that a lot of people, unfortunately with the internet, think it's easy and you do nothing and people just give you money. Well, if they give you their money, you better be ready to show them to go to work.
Right.
And by the way, you better text them back when they text you. You better call them. You better give them good updates. And more importantly, you better do your job. Mm-hmm. Right. Unfortunately, man, as you know, you're online, a lot of people are doing a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff going out right now. There's some SEC filings and stuff happening. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That stuff. I see it like 6 things in a row, you see different people talking about it. But so I know that you've talked about people becoming trapped in their own businesses and just creating a new job for themselves, right? Do you think that just has to do like mostly with not having the right support system around you and delegating properly? And if you do what we talked about a minute ago, then you'd be out of that self-created hamster wheel?
From my experience, entrepreneurs are delusional. We think we're bigger than we are. We think we're greater than we are, better than we are, whatever. I think a lot of times they don't even think they're trapped, right? Mm-hmm. But at 2 a.m., when you're laying there by yourself in your bed with your spouse or whoever, and you're looking up at that ceiling and you're starting to feel that weird feeling in your throat because you're trapped deep down inside, you better start figuring it out because it does not go away. It actually is only going to get harder to get out of. And I think you need to start making a plan, right? What do you want this game to look like for you? Not for Matt, not for Mark, but for you. And I think a lot of people's never sit down and really figured out because, again, they're watching your clips, they're watching everyone's clips, mm-hmm. but they're not watching their own clip, right? If you look back 5 years from now, most people would be grateful for where they're at today because they were dreaming about 5 years ago, but now they're so stuck in where they want to go that they haven't given themselves any grace on the journey. But I think a lot of people are trapped in the game of comparison. I love comparing, by the way. Positive comparison is a very good thing. But again, that takes maturity, right? You got to have maturity to understand, It's not what Matt has. It's like, dude, if Matt can get it, why can't I? Right. It's more inspiring than comparing. And I think people got to be careful with that because, again, I got a lot of cool shit, but it's 29 years in the game. I should have cool stuff. Right. Like, if not, I'd be worried about that. I'd be questioning that.
Yeah.
But my whole philosophy on this game of life and business and everything, I own things until they own me. Once they start owning me, I start letting go. And if your business starts feeling like it's owning you, I own businesses. Businesses don't own me. Mm-hmm. When I start feeling that ownership, that business owning me, i.e. taking people's money and all that stuff, now it owns me. Therefore, I got to do something about it.
Right.
I would definitely start creating an exit plan. And what that looks like, it's different for every single person. Depends on the size of the business you have. Right. Everyone's trying to hire A players with C salaries. It will never work. You'll always be frustrated. Mm-hmm. The truth is your executives probably will make more money than you do in the first 3 years. And that's okay because in year 4, you're going to make a lot more money because they're going to do a good job, ideally. But a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice today for a better future tomorrow. They got used to the life they built.
Mm-hmm. So you've been through that at least once then, where you felt you were being owned by your business and you had to find your exit.
Many.
Do you think that now you see the signs well enough, though, that you avoid it before you feel you get there?
No, listen, I think, I try to minimize it. I'm not looking for avoidance. I'm looking for, I'm looking, how do I solve the problem when I see it happen quickly? You can try to most people that try to avoid are so stuck in, procrastination. They never take action, massive action.
Mhm.
We're, don't get it wrong. I'm failing every day. People are stealing from me right now. People aren't showing up at work right now. Things are falling apart. Customers aren't being replied to as fast. Like, that's happening right now.
Mhm.
There's failing happening. But we're going to address it. We'll figure it out and we'll grow from it. And that happens every single minute, every single day. But I do feel, you could try, I'm learning from it. I'm not trying to make the same mistake twice, but with one mistake, you solve that. There's 13 other on the backside of it. You just don't know what you don't know. And that's why you need to be in the right rooms with the right people that can see around three corners that you don't even know exist.
Mhm.
But it shouldn't stop you. It should actually inspire you to move forward.
Yeah. How transparent are you with your businesses and like your kids and your family, and how involved are they? Is it two separate worlds, or are they coming to the office? Do they
No,
know what you're working on?
I don't go to the office. I work. My life is my work. My work is my life.
Mhm.
I'm in the game, right? I think people are trying to create separation. I don't hang out. I don't go with my buddies on golf trips. My family is my life. When I'm coming out there on business trips, I take my family with me.
Mhm.
I go to meetings or whatever I do. Hang out the pool, go to another meeting. Like, I'm living life, dude. I think a lot of people are trying to separate it. My kids at 10 and 6 probably know more than most people know about business in their 50s, because
Mhm.
I talk about it every day. They see what we got. They see what we do. My biggest fear, truthfully, Matt, is, and I've hired many people to help me with this, is like, my kids are very lucky. They have a lucky life, right? They're on jets, they're on yachts, they're in big houses, they're on cool stuff. That's not normal. It's normal to us, but it's not normal. And
Yeah.
oh, by the way, it's my stuff, not theirs. They just get the benefit from it today.
Mhm.
So it's like, my fear is, how do I train them and teach them and guide them? Because I always tell them, you're going to have to work 10 times harder than daddy. Here's why. Everyone's going to tell you, daddy gave it to you, mommy gave it to you.
Mhm.
But the truth is, daddy didn't give you six pack abs. Daddy didn't give you wake up early, go to bed late. Like, you have to earn that. You have to do that work. It's going to be hard. But yeah, I'm very transparent. My wife knows everything. My kids know, like, we talk about this stuff. It's normal talk in our world.
Mhm. Do you see them getting involved into the business, or will they go another their own direction and start their own things? Have they talked
I
about that?
have zero. The truth is, I don't care. I just want them to be successful at whatever they do and give it their all. I don't want to be the dad that's like, you got to be the best football kid, blah, 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 like, because it's my
Yeah.
dream. I
Right.
want them
Right.
to have their dreams and live their dreams and grow their dreams.
Mhm.
If they do, I see my son definitely has entrepreneur spirits. Both of my kids do. They're out there doing lemonade stands. They're doing cards. I mean, they're always entrepreneurial, washing cars
Yep.
now. It's like a new thing. And I'm not doing that. They're doing it. They're driving that. I'm not saying, hey, guys, you should start a car wash business tomorrow. My son comes up. He's like, Dad, me and my buddy started a car wash. We made $80 today. Cool. Who's collecting the money? How much was it? How much was the expenses for the washing materials and blah, blah, blah. Like, so that's the kind of stuff I'm talking to him about.
Mhm.
But I think we got to be careful. Like, even in real estate, I talk to real estate guys all the time and business guys. At the end of the day, I barely want this shit and I build it. Why would we want our kids to have it unless they want it?
Yeah. Right.
Right? If you're working with high net worth guys and gals, like, some of these guys are like, oh, my kids got to take over this thing. You know how many businesses I've bought that the kids don't want anything to do with?
Yeah.
Many. It's
For
almost
sure.
all of them. And if they don't get bought, they just shut them down, and,
Mhm.
and they're making millions of dollars a year. The kids don't want it.
Right.
Why would they? They can go do a YouTube station and make $3 million a year hanging out, shooting videos, being creative, doing what they love, as opposed to grinding it out, having conference calls, going to real estate meetings, shaking hands, kissing babies, raising money, dealing with tenants and lawsuits and all that other stuff. I just want them to do what they want to do, truthfully, at scale. I want them to be great humans, big givers, great doers,
Mhm.
and just work really hard.
That's awesome. Well, they're seeing it lived out by you for sure, and it's cool that you're living that life where you're not in the big tall ivory tower, but you're on the beaches with them and getting the work done, and they're seeing it's totally possible, right? Yeah, that's
Our
amazing.
job is memories, man. As great fathers, our job is memories, no more, no less. I think a
Mhm.
lot of this stuff, like, they see what we do. They don't hear what we do. They see what we do.
Yeah.
They see how we do it. They see who we do it with. Dude, I do life with a lot of amazing people. And, everyone I'm rolling with is, we're all homeschooled. I've been homeschooling my whole life with the kids. And we have a great teacher. We have a great structure. We have a great, it's just
Mhm.
like very blessed to be in that position. But at the end of the day, I put myself in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think everyone listening has to get themselves in the right room to create the right results. It's very, very tough if you're hanging out with a lot, we all know this. If you're in school and you're hanging out with the kids doing drugs, guess what? You're probably going to be doing the same thing.
Yep.
Why are you doing this with your life as you become an adult? Because it's comfortable, because they might make fun of you, because they might say, well, Johnny left the group because he's better than us. Damn right I am. I'm getting better for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you'll inspire them 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 years later. Maybe never, depending on who you're hanging out with. But like either way, you're going to have a better life getting in the right rooms.
100%. So let's say you had to start all over today, though. Would you choose real estate again as your main vehicle? Do you think it's still as good of an opportunity as it was when you got into it in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Real estate's not going anywhere, but the answer is yes. The biggest thing is it's really hard to answer the question for the simple fact is I have amazing I have relationship capital, right? I can push one button via text and raise money. I can push one button and get a deal. It's very easy to do that now. And that is a problem with success, because you think everything you touch turns to success and you get very distracted. You say yes to everything. And then that's a whole nother problem. But yes, real estate's amazing. Again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what strategy you pick. Just pick a strategy and solve rich people problems. Go where the money's at. I wouldn't be knitting sweaters trying to get rich.
Yeah.
But if that's what you love to do, do it, and do it at scale. I don't know how to do that, but I like real estate because it's a big ticket product. I like business because it's big ticket, right? I'm not trying to start $100,000 a year business. I'm trying to do the big stuff, the 8, 9 figure businesses. But yeah, dude, listen, real estate's great. It's easy. Everyone understands it. It's a property. It's simple.
Yep.
I think real estate's one of the least riskiest things you can do if you have knowledge.
Whether it be on a large or small scale.
It doesn't matter if it's worth $100,000 and you can buy it for 50, or if it's worth 100 million, you buy it for 50 million.
Yeah.
It's data. It's not drama, right? Like the humans put the drama into the situation, and that's what you need to do. If you can solve drama where data is provided and you have a structure and you know numbers because you've done your homework, it's not risky. The risk is not doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Not taking action is the biggest risk you can have, but just get involved in a deal. Just go get your toes. Just dip your toes in the game. Just get started. So
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on 401ks?
I don't have one.
I figured. So we run into a lot of people who are, let's say, 7-figure net worth, 1 to 3 million, 4 million, and the vast majority of all of their net worth has been from pumping into 401ks, getting matches, especially some of the tech companies where they get stock options put into their 401ks. But it is across the board, from your middle class to your upper middle class and kind of your lower end of your high net worth folks. There's 9 out of 10 people we meet, 95% of their wealth is in tax qualified plans because they're obsessed with reducing their taxable income today. Being a real estate guy, well, I like it too, but we meet people then in their 70s and they have these required distributions and they're getting these tax avalanches, right? Where they're like, I'm being taxed more on this money than I would have been if I paid it when I earned it, but I couldn't have foreseen that it would have turned into this whole big old snowball. So can you speak to how real estate is such a fantastic opportunity to offset some of that W-2 income, maybe instead of just putting it into a chest that you have to pull out later and pay more taxes on?
Yeah, listen, as you know, everyone has different financial complexities and goals and agendas. Some people want 100 million, some people want 1 million. There's a lot of variables to this. The truth is why 401ks work is because it creates forced discipline on the average person. Most people don't have discipline effort. I do. I don't overspend. I live very well below my means, and I'm in a very amazing tax benefit environment, i.e. real estate in companies, right? So I'm not acting like I'm smarter than anybody. The truth is I'm dumber than probably most people listening, but real estate is such an amazing gift for tax opportunities I didn't even know existed. But back in 1996, when I started doing deals, all these things, you're like, you make money, but yet you lose over here because you cost seg and depreciate and you move around and, you have a C Corp, S Corp, blah, 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 but there are all these infrastructures and you can move stuff around. You're like, oh my gosh, this is pretty amazing. But that's when I was very reactive with tax advice. Now I'm very proactive. I meet my, CFOs, tax advisors every Thursday at 10 a.m. because we're buying and selling and moving and protecting and growing and harvesting. Like, there's so many variables now. But real estate's amazing for that kind of stuff, as you know, man. I mean, it's a beautiful gift if you use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple more questions here. How do you describe your definition of financial freedom?
Well, so I was financially free by 27. That looks way different now than it does back then. If I was in the beginning stages trying to create financial freedom, I would literally add up all my bills and I'd figure out how can I create income, not to surpass what I'm making at my job, because sometimes it's higher, and that's the golden handcuff effect. But what's my maximum amount of bills? Reduce some stuff, maybe get rid of some cars, definitely get rid of the boats and jet skis. You don't have time for that anymore. You're building something and going to build a life of financial freedom. When you have time to think, time to learn, time to test, you can make a lot of money. But let's say if it's 10 grand a month, go find something and create that kind of money very simply. There's a lot of paths to do that. And that's, to me, would be financial freedom. But for me, financial freedom is having net worth, no debt, cash flow coming in. Cash flow to me is the ninth wonder of the world. Eighth wonder of the world is compounding interest. The ninth wonder of the world is residual income. Yeah. I have a lot of residual income coming in from multiple places. No matter what I'm doing, no matter if I'm sick, tired, happy, sad, it doesn't matter. It comes in. It's a very amazing gift. But you got to build value and be able to extract that. But I think, again, dude, I think financial freedom and fulfillment got to be aligned too. Fulfillment of your life. I got young kids watching me, man. I got to build. Right. I got to grow. So, but financial freedom, man, just make enough cash flow to replace what your hard expenses are and go build the life you truly want.
Awesome. You mentioned no debt right now. Do you mean no like consumer debt, or do you not use debt in any of your property real estate ventures?
The deals I own, or I shouldn't say own, I control. Yeah. They don't have debt.
Okay. Ever? Not even to get in them? You don't use mortgages, debt, or okay.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of leverage. Say that again.
You can always be bigger. You can always be bigger, but how do you sleep at night with leverage debt? That's the question is everyone's like leverage. Cool, I get it. But why? If you have 50 million and I leverage to get 300 million, am I happy or sad? Am I stressed or happy? Like, you got to ask the question on the other side. Yeah. All of us entrepreneurs are very optimistic, but I know a lot of people get smoked when they leverage and over leverage. I've been around a long time. I saw it in 2008 with great people, got absolutely murdered with leverage. I didn't get murdered. We made more money because I had more time. By the way, what's going to happen on the emotional effect when shit goes sideways? I just say, okay, cool. I don't have a problem, right? All my buddies are calling me to borrow money because they're over leveraged.
Right. So do you play?
And by the way, when I say over leverage, I'm not talking saying take 150 grand on $100,000 property. I'm talking they're 70 cents on the dollar, but the property things have changed so much. They're getting notes called, banks are shutting down. Like there's a lot of things happening. It might not even have to be your problem, but it could become your real problem. If you go, this happened in 08, 09.
Do you foresee anything like that in real estate coming again?
100%, 2032.
2032. Can you speak into that a little bit more? Where do you come up with that?
No, it's just, I mean, there's economists and stuff like that. I do believe there's something massive has to happen to wake up America, dude. America's very spoiled, very dumb with money. They're spending like fucking raving maniacs. It's wild to me. I go to these concerts and I'm like, dude, I have money. And I'm watching these clowns spend $1,500 for a ticket. I'm like, what are you doing? I know you can't pay your bills. I know you used a credit card. Like, what are you doing? Don't you care about your family? People are living like they're dying tomorrow, dude. It's wrong. That's a very big problem. Right. However, that's the way the system's been designed to keep on, everyone talks about, slavery and all this stuff, dude. There's never been more slaves in our life. Everyone's a slave to their job right now because they have to be, because if they don't pay their bills, they're going to lose their house, lose their boat, lose their cars, they're losing everything if they don't go to work. I don't have that problem, man. And I'm scared for America. I really think the world, it's a very big problem.
When that type of thing happens though, this becomes opportunity for someone like you, right? Someone who's
rich get richer, poor get poor. That's what happens. Middle class gets smoked.
Yeah. So you would say it's important on some level, whether it's real estate or anything else, to find a way to deploy money you make into assets that can appreciate, can create cash flow, and keep doing that until you have enough of them that they can turn around and pay you what you need. Anything you make from earned income becomes extra. That would be the
Exactly.
goal.
So back in 2008, 2010, markets were crashing. Everything was sideways. Real estate was everything was crashing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, guys, listen, I'm not that smart. But if you buy $100,000 house for 20 grand and rent it out for $1,000 a month and you net 750 after all expenses, everything, you make 750 bucks. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. How many do you need of those to take care of your lifestyle? And oh, by the way, when the cycle recovers, that $100,000 house now is worth 300, 400, 500 grand. Mm-hmm. And that happened. I did a lot of those deals. We were buying $300,000 houses for 80 to 120,000. They're now worth $600,000, $700,000, $800,000.
Yeah.
Plus the cash flow galore, plus the write-offs, plus there's so many, plus the rent increases. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, dude, listen, I think if you can get in cash flow environments and buy things at discounts, you will always win. Mm-hmm. But again, you still got to operate this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just thought of this, but I'd love for you to speak to the real estate investors who maybe they're not at a scale where you're at, but they have real estate investment. We have many potential and existing clients we meet where they have maybe a few homes that they've upgraded and they've always kept them, and they have 3-4 rentals, or they have a small apartment with like 8 units and they rent it out and it works well for them. And two things I want to touch on. One is they don't raise the rents. We have a lot of people and I'm like, you haven't raised the rent in 12 years, 15 years. And it's because they're petrified that they're going to have to find another renter. And I'm saying there's housing shortages in a lot of places. Like you'll find someone to rent this place if the place is decent at all, but they don't raise the rents. And we talk to them and, you know, they're taking in 1 to 2% on the asset value, and they could be taking in a lot more, but then it becomes impossible to actually raise the rent because you can't jump that hurdle that they've missed by not raising it for that long because of a lot of the rules and regs, things like that. So anyway, if someone's an investor, they're listening to this and they have real estate, how can you help them get over the fact that it's part of owning real estate that the rents will go up over time, inflation's real, and maybe the balance between that?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're talking about limited beliefs. People do this in their business as well, not just real estate.
Yeah.
Right. There's still people charging $25 an hour to be a handyman when they should be charging $100, and they could get it, and they will get it if they actually open their mouth and say $100 an hour. I think you got to test with this. I think you got to raise it inch by inch. This is the difference between being a hobbyist and a business owner, right? This is a hobby activity. That's a hobby thought process. Like, oh, I'm not going to raise rent because I don't want the inconvenience. I get that a little bit. But listen, if you, depending on how far the discrepancy is of what rent could be, if it's 1,000, it should be 2,000. That's a way different animal. Stop looking at what you could raise it and stop looking at what you're losing. Don't look at just the first year either. Look at the 10 years compounded over 10 years, how much money you're really, by the way, you're stealing from your financial future for yourself and your family. Everyone you say you care about, you're stealing from them because you're too lazy, too ignorant, and or both to execute this activity. And you, by the way, when we say you execute, it might even be your property manager, right? Tell them this is how much rent's going for. Stick it out there. Yes, you might have to do capital improvements. Who cares? Tax write-off, write it off, grow it, scale it, see what the investment is. It's not just expense in. It's like, hey, if I put $40,000 to rehab this property to get an extra $1,000 a month, that's an ROI. You can't get that ROI anywhere. So it depends on how you look at these situations, but I definitely think people need to take the game a lot more serious. And again, listen, tenants love you, so keep doing what you do, I guess, if that's what you want. But if you don't care about your financial future, which if they're talking to you, Matt, I'm guessing they do, or watching a show like this or listening, you probably care about it. Look at what you're losing and compound it over 10 years of your lack of activity and see what it's really costing you by not making proper financial decisions for your future. It's a big deal.
Second question, how important is it to reset the depreciation? You know, a lot of the older clients we're working with, they've owned this property for the entire depreciation cycle, but they don't want to go through the process of selling to then purchase the next property, do the 1031 reset all of that. Are you a believer in doing that, resetting it and maximizing the tax efficiency? And
my life is not about making more money. My life is about retaining the money I make.
Okay.
And the way to do that, you have to reset constantly.
What do you think is a sweet spot?
Pardon me?
What's the sweet, how many years, you get depending on commercial or residential, there's a pretty long period.
I was going to say, it's such a big variable, and it depends on what their real tax basis and situation is. And not only that, how old are they? We're buying a property right now. The individual's 89 years old. He built it 40 years ago. He squeezed every penny out of it he could and beyond. And the truth is, he thought he was building it for his kids. Once again, their kids don't want it. And it's a multi-million-dollar project. And he's like, dude, I'm just going to put it into a savings account and send them 4% a year. That's it. And he's going to get smoked on taxes, and he doesn't care. But again, he has a lot of money. It is what it is. I think it's stupid, but he's a little upset his kids ain't taking it over too. So I get it. But I do think you need to be resetting it. I think you need to have a financial advisor talk within an individual that knows your full picture. What makes you move, what slows you down, what's working, what's not. Are you taking losses somewhere else this year or not? This is all tax planning. Another thing too is, most people are very reactive, not proactive here, because it's not sexy. It's not cool. I make more money at this point in my life by being smart on the front end with taxes proactively with my team than I do actually just going and making money. Right? Making it versus keeping it are two drastically different mindsets of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of things that have been reset in motion or that didn't exist as fruitfully as they do now, with like the accelerated depreciation and the bonuses and things like that, right? I mean, we're in an era, who knows how long it will truly last, but while it's here, capitalize on that, right?
Absolutely. Use the tools and opportunities in front of you. Get with people like yourself, Matt, and anybody that's doing high-level tax advising and planning and stuff. Like, sit down and share their dreams and go. Most people don't even have them, so they're afraid to share that kind of stuff, from my experience. And it's like, if they get in the right room and share it with you, man, like you could build their life way easier for them if they understood that they have people on their team to help them guide them.
Do you believe that the statement that this whole financial game and the whole system is a game, and if you learn the rules, anyone can play it? You don't have to be part of the good old boys club to be able to participate and make money within all these rules?
Yes. I mean, I'm a prime example of it. I'm not in the good old boys club. I worked really hard, paid people to help me. People don't work for free, right? You got to invest in people, hire people. And when I say that, maybe it's just getting an insurance policy, paying them a monthly fee, retainer, to look over your stuff, like see where you're at, where you're going, what's your age, what's your fears, all of these objections and objectives that you have in your life, and really just get someone around you. But 100%, man, I think you need to, like, no one's going to do it for you. You got to do the shit yourself. You got to push the needle and move it forward yourself.
Now, if someone's listening to this and they are like, man, everything this guy's saying is gold, but I need to know more and have it applied to me directly, do you offer coaching? Do you have programs they can jump into? Like, share a little bit about some of the businesses you have going on that real world people can get involved in and acquire some of the knowledge or skill sets that you have.
The only thing I have is the Dealmaker Alliance. It's $1,000 a month. It's for entrepreneurs that are making $250 a year and above. I don't help newbies, man. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not good there, man. I don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy me. I don't enjoy them. I don't have any. I can't help them. You got to get out of your own way, go screw it up a lot, and then go make $250,000 minimum, and then come to me. That's where I can best serve you. Right. That's where I'm best served in the community. But yeah, it's called the Dealmaker Alliance. We work with people. We have 169 people in that group. That's actually who's coming into this event here next week. That's awesome. But we work with high-level people, growing companies, like people that the truth is what we're doing is creating relationship capital and winning with winners. Yep. It's way easier to win with winners than losers. Losers will always figure out a way to lose. Winners will always figure out a way to win. And when you're in the right room with the right people with the right objective, winning happens more often. Even though there's failures inside of that, it's not catastrophic. There's losses, but literally we call them lessons, and we keep moving. If you have a problem, you solve it next, right? So when you have such a big group of people that are marching on the same, with the same vision, you're solving problems at breakneck speeds and creating results that most people can't even fathom in a very quick time frame. So that's all I do. I do not offer one-on-one. We meet once a week. I have a conversation for an hour. We have a private Facebook group, and we meet twice a year in person. That's it. Because again, you got to implement this stuff. It does not happen overnight. You got to work.
Right.
But once you get the frameworks, the structures, and the connections, all this stuff gets accelerated, and you're not alone. We're all having, when you have that many people, there's a lot of seasons happening inside of that. Some people are in winning season. Some people are in mommy and daddy season. Some people are in departure season. Like, there's a lot of things happening. And when you get that, you can really, really see what like real winning looks like. Because there's people that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and there's people doing $250,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like one of the right rooms to be in. Mark, I appreciate this whole conversation. I feel like we just scratched the surface of the knowledge that you can provide. You're very active on all social media platforms. If people want to look up and start following you, it's just Mark Evans DM on all platforms. Is that where they can find you?
Yes.
And your podcast
I will not ask you for crypto. Just to be clear, I will not ask you for crypto. Dude, there's so much scamming going on out there. It's crazy. Those guys are better marketers than I am with my people, but I am not asking you for anything. I don't need anything from you. I just want to share your testimonials and wins when you win. That's all I want. Dude, that's what I'm here for.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate your time on here. It's been incredible to just dig in and grab some of your knowledge and stuff. Before we head out of here, can I say a prayer for you, Mark?
Please do.
All right. Lord, I thank you so much for the opportunity to meet with Mark. What an incredible conversation. This man is just sharing so many of the different paths that you've allowed him to walk on and inspiring other people. And I pray that you are just evident in his life and his kids' lives and his wife's life and all the people that he's working so closely with. Just be there, be a light, let him be part of the salt of the earth, and let his day be amazing. We appreciate you. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey,
love it, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome. I appreciate you. So I got one last question for you. Who's one person that you'd be willing to recommend gets on the mic and has a conversation with me?
One, I'd have to think about it. One.
Or two or three, I guess, but one person that
what do you want on the backside? What's the result you want from it? Because I mean, I know lots of people, but what is the objective?
Well, the objective is to continue having great conversations like this. I'm agnostic to the industry and all that. I want to have conversations with people who have accomplished things in their life that might have rough roads and great successes, maybe some luck sprinkled in there, and are willing to share so that we accumulate conversations and stories over time where almost any walk of life you could listen to something and say, wow, I can see myself being where he was and I avoided something because of it, or I built a wealth of knowledge, or he inspired me, but really just this idea of thinking beyond the horizon, right? I want people to seek bigger and better things in their life than what they can naturally see maybe is available for them today. And I want people to see the problems they could face that they're not anticipating now. Some of the questions I ask you are things that selfishly, I'm like, I want to know the answers to these questions because I've ran into these issues, or I'm living inside of some of these issues right now in my business. And I don't have 29 years yet building a business with employees and all this stuff. So I get inspired as well. But, when I asked Sean Whalen, I said, who's one person that you'd be willing to recommend, kind of endorse that you would, and he said, you can tell Mark that I told you that he would bring value to the listeners on here, and I think he's an amazing guy. So I don't want to pinpoint anything, but if you would be willing to assist me in getting one person in jumping on the mic with me, that you think would be a good conversation.
Yeah, I got a great guy. His name's Mark Andrew, dude. He'd be an awesome. He's in the blue collar roofing space, high level.
Yep.
Great guy, great human.
Yep.
He'd be a good dude to know.
Mark Andrew?
Yep.
What's the best way for me to reach out to Mark?
I'll just shoot you guys an email together.
Okay, cool. Oh, man, I'd appreciate it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, have an awesome day. Enjoy that Halloween party you got coming up soon. Genuinely appreciate you. And when you're out here in Newport, maybe I'll be walking down the beach with a surfboard or something. See you out there.
Awesome. Look forward to it, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate
Take care.
it.
See you later.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
Later.